Principles include information for one, is information for all, no surprises, verify facts, think ahead, disagree, and then commit.
Thank you. Are there any additions or corrections to the agenda?
No changes.
Is there a motion to approve the agenda?
Principles include information. I'll make a motion to approve the agenda.
A second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed say no. Motion carries 5-0. Are there any visitors for public comment? Comments by board members and superintendent.
We're going to wait on our video this week just because we're trying to get people to concert tonight. So that'll be next time. So just 3 comments on student engagement. Just want to really highlight lots of great stuff happening. As you know, we've had an awesome speech presentation. We have a speech night coming up that's on the calendar. Music concerts are popping up all over. They just did trivia night on Saturday. That was great. We've been on a hiatus. We wrapped up our winter sports, basketball and wrestling all wrapped up now. And as weather gets better, we're going to get into track season. And lots of in tennis and mentioned golf and then mentioned baseball, softball. So there's a lot of great things that you can engage with. So we encourage everyone in the community to get out and enjoy watching our kids at their best in activities. Under leadership, I sent some updates to the board as well. There continues to be discussion in the Northeast Iowa Conference about realignment or expansion. This is something we heavily pursued 2 years ago, but now have the support of the schools. There seems to be some additional support right now. We have contingency because we've been working on that. We've had plans to change conferences. We've had plans for reshaping the current conference. The Northeast Iowa Conference is facing a couple things. One, if some of the members leave to another new conference, what does the remaining members do? And then also about expanding the conference. I've been very skeptical expansion because we talk about it every year, and every time we invite other schools in, they decline. So we'll see what happens. We'll continue to have meetings on that as well, keep the board up to speed. But this one is not really one we're driving. Which is okay because we drove it last time. I'm more than happy for us to respond. Again, we have some really good options if the conference does realign. Strategic focus area 4, healthy culture. We have a teacher wellness pilot where we have a couple of holistic life coaches, which sounds like kind of goofy, but it's just we have to invest in people and their physical, mental health. And we did it in a pilot this year. These are 2 people that have advanced degrees in this area, but also former teachers. So I heard some really good feedback on it today. Again, just a pilot, a presentation in the future about the work they did over the semester. And again, this is for teachers and see about maybe expanding it more in the future.
Thank you. Anybody else? Okay, we'll go on to the committee reports. Catherine Fox, facilities.
So we had a facilities meeting last week, and it was actually pretty concise. Both of the items that were discussed at the committee meeting will be discussed tonight. That is regarding the roof bid and the bus bid. So again, I don't want to give too much away, but we have some exciting, good new things happening for our district in regards to transportation.
Thank you. Certified budget presentation.
Go ahead, pull that up, Jose. So I have on the next agenda item to set the time and date for a public hearing, but I wanted to highlight a few things that are going to be published in the paper either tomorrow or Friday on what I have for the proposed certified budget for the 22-23 school year. So the first area is the budget, the increase in instruction budget. So this budget represents a 9.1% expenditure increase in instruction. Thoughts behind this is an increase was budgeted towards assisting in learning loss gaps as a result of the pandemic. It's also an increase being proposed to support teaching and learning through effective strategies that will further enhance the Charles City Community Schools student education and continue to make us a regardless school. So I just want to give you reasons behind the 9.1% expenditure increase for the instruction budget. Go ahead and go to the next one. The next thing you'll see on the budget of another increase is 2.9% increase in support services. Cost of transportation has increased as a result of the recent increase in fuel costs. That takes up the majority of my method for madness behind this increase. Is also being proposed to address the higher need of quality services and student support and instructional staff support to keep our primary customers and staff physically and mentally healthy. And inflation has caused an increase in several of our monthly utility bills as well. So I have increased expenditures in this category. Non-instructional programs is an 8.2% increase, but this is all based off the prior approved 5-year strategic plan for the maintenance and construction on facilities. So some of the good news I want to highlight is Charles City Community Schools has managed debt effectively and has seen a decrease of an average of 45.2% debt expenditures from 2021 to 2023. Over the last 8 years, Charles City Community Schools has not increased the grand total tax levy. And over the last 5 years, the grand total tax levy has remained stable and unchanged. So as a result of the proposed budget, there is a 2.3% increase in the grand total levy rate. The grand total levy rate has not had an increase since 2014. Cause one for the increase is a result of a $15 million decrease in property valuation. Cause two is a steady increase in property insurance as a result of recent storms. Cause three is the rising cost to support the transportation and educational needs of our students with individualized education plans. And the cause four is an increase in inflation of almost 6%. Again, Charles City Community Schools has now raised the grand total tax levy since 2014. So that was what I have for you guys of the big changes on this year's upcoming certified budget that we'll have a public hearing on March 28th, depending on your guys' approval. Questions or clarification? Or?
I guess maybe one question I have, is, looking at other districts across in our size, are we consistent or comparable to what they've seen in increases and changes?
Yeah, so we're pretty consistent and comparable, but we are one of the lowest grand tax levy districts in our region. We're consistently below average
From the school's perspective.
from the school's perspective. So.
Questions? Okay, then we need to set the date and time for the 2022-23 certified budget public hearing.
We're gonna check that date.
Yes, we are on agenda.
I'd make a motion to set the date and time for a public hearing on proposed certified budget for the 2022-2023 school year calendar for Monday, March 28th, 2022 at 6:15 p.m. in the high school library. I'll second that.
Is there any more discussion? Okay, it's been moved and seconded to set the date and time for a public hearing on the proposed certified budget for the 2022-2023 school year calendar for Monday, March school year budget for Monday, March 28th, 2022 at 6:15 p.m. in the high school library. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed, say no. Passes 5-0. Bed.
All right, exciting talk of roofs. So let me get to that one. All right, so I sent out RFPs for roofs for roof B and roof E at Washington School. I had 2 contractors that came back with bids, Midwest Roofing Company and Northern Cedar Service were the 2 that brought back bids. I sent out 4 and only got 2 back. And that's been pretty much what's happening right now with everything going on. A lot of them can't get material or they just don't have the labor force to do it. So I was very happy that we got 2 competitive bids. Midwest Roofing came in low on both bids. $115,800 for roof B at Washington by Midwest Roofing, and roof E at Washington is $98,750. So at our budget, and both local firms, close to local firms, both out of Mason City. So that's what we have there, and that will put us about 2 sections at Washington School left to do in the future. So we're progressing really nice over there. So any questions on any of that?
I just have one question, Jerry. So looking at the two bids, it looks like the second bid from Northern Cedar Services is quite a bit higher, right?
Correct.
So 155,000 and one's 120,000.
Correct.
And just the big difference between them, I mean, there's a significant difference between those bids. Is there any concern that they missed something?
No, both of them came, took them up on the roof, did the same tour, the same RFP. Our RFP that we put together is about a 7-page long RFP that's very, very specific. So,
So they
Yeah.
both evaluated the same thing, looked at the same thing. same
Absolutely.
tour? Okay,
yeah.
Great. Thank
Yep.
you.
Any other questions? Yeah. I'll make a motion to approve the roof bid as proposed by Jerry.
To go with the low bid for roof B at Washington Elementary for $115,800 and roof E at Washington for $98,750 and award the projects to Midwest Roofing.
I'll second.
Has been moved and seconded to go with the low bid for roof B at Washington Elementary for $115,800 and roof E at Washington for $98,750 and award the projects to Midwest Roofing.
Say that 3 times really
I
fast.
know. Is there any other discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say no. Thank you. Passes 5-0. Bus bid.
All right. To me, this is very exciting. We found out some things during the bid process for this that since the seatbelts are now a requirement in school buses, which is the bad news, it increases all the costs for it by $10,000 with requiring that. But on the good news is you can get just an activity bus. And what the difference between a school bus and activity bus is, you can get them colored to your school's colors. The things that the activity bus doesn't have that a route bus has, there's no longer required a stop sign. On the back and the front of the buses where it says school bus on the top, it now says activity bus. And then you also don't have the yellow and red flashing lights. So all they can be used for is activities. So right now we currently have 2 school buses that are used for activities. What our plan is we'd like to rotate those over to routes and get just an activity bus. The nice thing about an activity bus is you can get air conditioning on them and under carriage storage. So it is a true activity bus. So in the summertime, when they're going to ball games, when it's 100 degrees outside, we can ride in comfort, air conditioning. We are the second school, if this gets approved, that will have one in the state of Iowa. The other one just got ordered about 3 weeks ago. So they'll actually have theirs before ours. And no matter what you get for a school bus, they are about 7 months out on build. So we would not get it until end of August, September, November is how long it'll take to get one. So what we did, and Catherine actually in our facilities meeting had a great idea. You can get buses. We can get a black school bus with orange stripes on the side, or you can get an orange school bus, activity bus, excuse me, let me say it right. An orange activity bus with black stripes on the side. There'll be chrome wheels, air conditioning, a low profile air conditioner on the top, and then under bus storage. Those are the only 2 options. That's the only way you can do it is you can get a 2 different color bus, but it's a solid color bus with the stripes. Do you happen to have those that we can show them?
We got it.
So you got them on there. Perfect. So if you got them on there. So Catherine had a great idea. Can we get that out to everyone in the schools to have them vote on what color they'd rather have? And then Mike finish it up with another great idea, get it on a Google. So you just put the 2 options out there. We put the pictures out there, pick which one you like. And it was pretty much pretty high vote for one, 399 votes for the black with the orange stripes compared to 79 votes for the orange with black stripes. So pretty unanimous that I think they want the black school bus or activity bus with the orange stripes on it. So and then I sent it out to 3 different, there's only 3 bus firms in the state of Iowa, Thomas Buses, Bluebirds, and then Hauglin, which is international. Thomas sent an email back that they cannot bid school buses at this time. They're struggling right now a little bit. Bluebird sent back their bids, and Howland sent back theirs. And Bluebird was low bid, and it's 140,389 for the school bus. So that's what I'm proposing, is to get the black activity bus with the orange stripes on it, including the air conditioning, be an alternator upgrade to run, so make sure we have enough power to run the air conditioning, and then also the underbus storage. So that's what I'm proposing that we purchase, and then look at maybe the next school bus, we either get a school bus, or the next year get the orange school bus or the activity bus with the black stripes, then replace both our activity buses that we're using now that can go into school bus service, and then go back to getting school buses after that. So
Jerry,
yes,
you mentioned seat belts. So activity buses are not under the law in Iowa that require seat belts.
they are. So the reason we can go to colored activity buses and without the school bus regulations thing on is because they do have the seat belts. Every bus that's made now that's going to be used for a school, 100% required seat belts.
So if we take a bus that was an activity bus and becomes a route bus, are we still grandfathered in that because that bus was created before the law?
Correct.
Okay.
Every school bus that's bought new from the date of when that was enacted in 2020 on has to have seat belts. So the last, right, everything before that's grandfathered and they don't have to have them. Some schools are going ahead and converting their buses over to add seat belts to them. It's about a $10,500 upgrade for a 65 passenger. And it's just about 12,000 for a 71 passenger to change over to seat belts, because you have to pull out every seat and put all new seats in. You know, watching more and more videos of why to have seat belts, it's convinced me. I was not a seatbelt lover when they first announced that they were talking about this. Watching some accidents, some side impacts and things like that, and watching students fly around in a bus, I'm a big supporter of seatbelts. I think it outweighs what the disadvantages are. The disadvantages of it, if you get in an accident, it's in a rollover or something, and everyone's hanging on seatbelts, and maybe you're in a ditch full of water, trying to get those all students out. But you know, that's where we do our training, and we train students to help each other to get out. The seatbelts outweigh what the negative could be for seatbelts. It's unbelievable how kids fly around in those buses when something happens. So I'm a big supporter of seatbelts, and there might be some time that I might come back to you guys and say, well, I'd like to start converting some of our buses over. But at this time, I'd rather get some new buses and get some updates first, and then we'll go from there.
So cars since like the 90s have had that little flashing light if you're not wearing your seatbelt. So does it have a row, every row in the front of the bus? So if the kid doesn't have their seatbelt on, it alerts the bus driver to get them to put it
Yeah,
on?
there'll be an alarm if a belt, it won't be specific to what seat, but there'll be alarm. So what we'll have to do before we get this bus is we'll have to create our policy. What do we do if a student doesn't buckle their seatbelt? What is our process from there?
Okay.
You know, is it a suspension off the bus, or is it a warning and then a suspension? So we'll have to develop that policy. And there are some statewide ones that they have developed, Max has developed for all the schools now that are starting to do this. So we'll get that statewide one and then convert it for what we need here in Charles City.
Okay.
So I'm pretty excited about having an activity bus, and I know all of the coaches and band and chorus, when they go on trips and some, they're very excited. So now it'll be, all right, who's gonna fight the most to get that one if there's two events going at the same time. So we'll figure that out as it goes. So
Is there a motion?
I'd make a motion to go with a low bid totaling $140,389 and award the bus bid to school bus sales and buy a black with orange stripe activity bus.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded to go with the low bid totaling $140,389 and award the bus bid to school bus sales and buy a black with orange striped activity bus. Any other discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All those opposed say no. 5-0 passed.
thank you, everyone.
Thanks, Jerry.
Okay, so the next one is the superintendent explanation. Do you want me to read your letter? Mike?
Go ahead.
Dear Charles City Schools Board of Education, it is with bittersweet feeling that I submit this letter as my formal resignation as Superintendent of Schools effective June 30th, 2022. While Sarah and I are thrilled to return home to Oskaloosa, we are very sad to leave our Charles City family. I truly believe we accomplished so much to advance our mission and vision for kids, and will have a deep sense of pride in the work we did. Thank you for the opportunity to serve Charles City and blessing my family. I wish you the very best. Mike Fisher.
And just on behalf of Sarah, Josh, and I, we are just very, very thankful to the board and all the previous boards and community, the staff, the kids. We're really going to miss it. It's hard because we picked Charles City because it resembled so much Oskaloosa. And then when the opportunity had to go home, and just on a personal note, we've had some family stuff with my brother passing away a couple of years ago. It's made us realize how important it is to be close to family. So we've been on the road for 20 years, and so I've never been 3 hours away. So it'll be nice getting home. But I'm also very confident we've built a really amazing team of leaders here, and I know that the school district's in good hands with a good board and good leadership team, and you guys will find another great superintendent. So just very thankful for everything you guys done for us.
I'd just like to thank you for the things that you've done while you were here, setting us in a good direction. Culture is better, the test scores are better. Built a lot of things. What more could we ask for? Thank you.
You're welcome.
Anybody else?
Back at you.
Thanks, Denise.
We're sad to see you go, but we're happy we get to keep you till June 30th.
I'll be working toiling away. We got a
We're
lot to
gonna
do
we're
yet.
gonna milk it, by the way.
Yeah. We got a lot to do yet.
Is there a motion?
I'll make a motion to accept Superintendent Fisher's resignation effective June 30th, 2022.
It's been moved and seconded to accept Superintendent Fisher's resignation effective June 30th, 2022. Any other discussion? All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed, say no. Passes 5-0.
I always wondered what would you do if somebody said no to those things? I mean, what do you do then, right?
If, maybe chain you up and
I don't know.
in the office or how it works.
Okay, so Superintendent Search firm discussion and action. I gave you copies of the 3 proposals that we got. I'm sorry I mailed them out so late last night. That we didn't have time to really look at them, but I just got one like 15 minutes before I emailed them to you. So I was waiting for that one to come in. So there's 3 proposals here. They're all very similar. I really encourage you to look at their websites and to look at what they're offering. And when you're looking at their websites, I want you to look and see how busy some of them are, and are we going to get enough attention, or whatever. So, and then I'd like to set another thing that we need to, do we want to interview some of these search firms? Do we want to just pick from the proposal? What are you thinking?
What'd you do last time?
Josh is the only one.
Josh is the only
Yeah,
one that
so
was
last time, we had, oh gosh, we had 3 or 5, I don't remember exactly how many. We interviewed them, they came to a board meeting and essentially gave us a presentation that included this a couple weeks ahead of time, and then we reviewed them, and then we selected one shortly after the meeting. We had maybe 2 weeks to look at the material before we selected. We were a little earlier, I think. Dan announced in February last time, so we had a little more time.
Was it effective to have someone here to talk or?
I mean, they're gonna kind of just talk about what's in this material here that, we're all confident and can read it, and, they're gonna pitch themselves about why they're the best firm, of course, right?
Sure, sure.
So I think Pat's idea of essentially looking at what they're doing today and what they've done probably would give us a good opinion of what they can do. And then we can make a selection, and I'm sure they would be happy to zoom in if we want, or come if we really want to do.
I think you make a point, Josh. Our limiting factor might just be we're later on in the calendar year, and
Yeah,
so
time.
delaying some of that might I don't know if that would put us at a disadvantage for finding the best candidates.
I mean, these were,
Very similar.
I think these are 3 of the ones for sure we got last time. I remember Jacobson and Grundermeyer. This one, I'm, the GR search, I'm not for sure, but they very well could
It
have.
was Gary Ray before.
Oh, that might be why they
And
changed
that,
it.
yeah,
Okay.
changed the name.
Does anyone have any personal experience with any of the 3?
So we used Grundermeyer when we hired Mike.
Okay.
He is a professor at Drake, I think. Quote me on that one. And he uses a lot of data when he made decisions. So he had a bunch of data that he used to help us pick the best candidate and then align things that would be good for our district with the candidates that were selected. And then, they had 20 applicants.
Sure.
And maybe more than that. And then they whittled us down to 5, and then we interviewed 3 and then we
Right.
selected Mike.
Yeah, it's like they have the graphs in here to show like the data.
Yeah, which is really nice. There's a lot of data-driven decisions for things that line up with what our district wants or needs and what the candidates have. That would be a good fit for us.
Pat, you said you knew a little bit more about GR recruiting.
Well, I just was impressed with the rigor of the process that Mike had to go through down at Oskaloosa. And it's very intense. They do a lot of surveying of multiple groups of people, and then they
Like
have,
community outreach.
yeah, community outreach and all of that stuff, which I guess I think the more input we get from everyone, staff, students, community, parents, senior leaders, the
Sure.
better. I just impressed with that. I'm also going to say that probably shouldn't say this, but I got kind of an unprofessional phone call, I felt.
From one of these 3.
Yes, from one of them. And I'll tell you that when we have a smaller, not so public meeting.
So maybe just kind of a,
Yeah.
are we starting off on the best foot?
I was like, oh, that was weird. Anyway.
Okay.
So,
And then does anyone know anything about McPherson and Jacobson?
all I know about McPherson and Jacobson is, I've done a phone recommendation with them.
Great.
So,
I noticed all 3 present like their history, who they've hired for, who they've worked with, so that, I mean, that matters. Which one did you say, Pat, is the biggest expanse geographically?
GR.
So GR would reach the furthest beyond
Yeah.
Iowa.
Yeah.
Mike, maybe this is a question for you, which is probably odd to ask a question about the guy who's leaving, but for the superintendent license in Iowa, like if you have one in Arizona or Florida or Texas, is it easy to bring it to Iowa, or how does that work?
It's actually easier to go out of Iowa. So Iowa has really strict licensing requirements. So typically, I could probably go anywhere in the country and get what they call a reciprocity license in another state. Oftentimes superintendents coming from out of state have to take more classes to get an Iowa license. So a good friend of mine, Charles McNulty, who was my professor at UNI, and they took an associate superintendent job. And he has a PhD from Madison and had been in Wisconsin as a practicing superintendent. Actually had to take another class from UNI, but you can get a provisional license. You're like a temporary license to do that. Ironically enough, the class he had to take was the one he taught the semester before for UNI, which is the funniest thing ever. But that is Iowa. I was pretty robust with their license requirements.
Awesome. Denise?
Okay.
That's right now.
So how soon do you think and when do you think we could meet to?
I mean, would it be unreasonable to say by like the end of the week before spring break?
Yeah, well, I was thinking like maybe Wednesday.
Yeah, I can't get through that quick.
You can,
No.
okay.
But I can do.
Are we wanting to do it in
Thursday.
person or Zoom? Because would that make a difference as to how?
Yeah, so like,
You're
I
scheduling?
couldn't do it during the day if we're gonna meet in person. It'd have to be either before 7 or after 5:30.
And then are you saying schedule for Zoom?
But if we do Zoom, we could do it like over lunch hour or something.
What's best for you? I'm just gonna lay it out here, guys. This is gonna take a lot of meetings over the next couple. 6
Once
weeks
we
to a
figure out
month.
this.
Yes,
But I did see one of them had like some different tentative timelines.
right. Mhm.
That they're optimistic we could have this resolved
Right.
before the end of the school year.
Oh, we should be able to have it done, I'm hoping by the end of April.
Yeah. So-
Beginning of May.
slightly busy.
but it's gonna be intense.
So we're trying to decide whether to have one this week.
To
Well, we
decide
need to
our-
have one this week so that we can
Zoom.
engage one of these people. I don't think we wanna,
Don't we have a scheduled noon meeting on Thursday for one of our committees? I think David and I are on communications.
What do we have?
I was thinking we have a meeting scheduled already for this Thursday at noon. Did I mention that?
it's at the bottom of the meeting, of the agenda, I believe there is something.
March 24th. You have something.
Oh, never
Oh,
mind.
that's after.
It's after spring break. That's a relief.
So, I mean, Thursdays are always a fine day. Do you have anything on your schedule?
Well, it's in the evening.
Evening would be best.
Do you want to meet in person, Pat, or do you want to do it over Zoom?
We can do it over Zoom if that's okay with everybody, or we can,
I think we'll have to.
This would just be a matter of deciding one of these. That's kind of where we're just, are on the agenda. So should we say Thursday?
noon.
Tuesday
Well, we
night.
said nighttime would be
Yeah.
best.
You can't do noon. Thursday evening,
What about 7 AM?
7 a.m. If we're doing
I'm
it
working by
Zoom,
then, but
Yeah.
what?
I'm always working by then.
So let's plan for Thursday evening,
That's the drama night.
Yeah.
Wednesday evening.
Catch it.
March 9th.
Always listen, but I could switch those maybe.
I can do, did you say you can't do Wednesday evenings, Denise?
I can switch things around, I guess.
I mean, it doesn't, what time is your stuff? Like,
Well, I can make it work.
like, would you be free after 7:30? Or like 8?
I can make it work. I'll just switch the list.
Okay, what's best time? Wednesday? Is that what we're going with? Wednesday evening or Thursday evening?
Wednesday evening.
Wednesday?
Thursday, there's a conference.
Wednesday evening, Pat, you pick a time.
I'm probably the most flexible of the group, so you guys pick.
David, what time are you done working?
I just come here and then I go back, so it's fine.
So what's a good time for you?
6 will be fine.
6 o'clock?
Mhm.
Does that work for you, Ellen? Work. Okay, Wednesday evening at 6 o'clock, we'll have a Zoom. Or I can. email
Yeah, I'll take care of it. Unless you want me to, I won't plan on attending. I'm happy to if you need me to.
Yeah,
Okay. So say the time again.
Wednesday at 6 o'clock PM,
6 PM Zoom.
a Zoom.
What is it set up like?
What will be the physical location?
Central Services.
Such services, okay.
Do you want me to go there? You want me home? We'll talk. Okay. So the recommendation then is to set the special meeting for Wednesday, March 9th at 6 o'clock PM
In Central Services.
in Central Services. But it will be a Zoom, so you don't have to. Or you can. Somebody want to make a motion?
Make a motion for a special meeting on Wednesday, March 9th, 6 PM, Central Services /Zoom for the purpose of making a search form for superintendent.
Second.
Okay, there's been a motion and a second to set the special meeting for the Wednesday, March 9th at 6 o'clock PM for at Central Services /Zoom for the purpose of picking a search firm for the superintendent. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed say no. Motion's granted 5-0. Consideration of the consent agenda.
Make a motion to approve the consent agenda items as listed.
Is there a second?
A second.
It's been moved and seconded to approve the consent agenda items as listed below. All those in favor say aye. Aye. All those opposed, say no. Pass 5-0. Okay, big ideas.
Did you miss one?
Oh, correspondence miscellaneous, sorry, I did.
Yeah, so I just want to be transparent with our audit firm being delayed with our CPA. This is the letter that I'm sending to the state auditor. So it reads, Mr. Sand, I am ready to request a 90-day extension of the filing deadline for the Charles City Community School District's financial statement audit for the fiscal year ending June 30th, 2021. Our auditors, Nolte & Corman and Johnson PC, have experienced delays in the audit process due to illness of the audit partner, Nancy Jansen. We are working with the audit firm to complete the audit process. We would appreciate your approval of our request so that we may be in compliance with statutory requirements. An extension to June 30th, 2022 is requested. Your consideration of our request is appreciated. And that'll be signed by myself and the superintendent. So I just want to be transparent with this letter with auditor.
And you'd received a letter about that. We talked about it in the last meeting.
This was what I was talking about with the audit firm, just letting me know that they're delayed and requesting our extension. So
Just putting something formal in writing.
Thank you. All right, any big ideas? Obviously. One big one. Yeah, we got one big one. Your superintendent. New orange and black bus. Okay, anything else, anybody? I know we have places to go. Okay.
Some of
meeting-
us do, Pat. We want to go see Ryan in March.
I know. Important upcoming dates. March 14th through the 18th, spring break, no school. March 24th, Communication and Public Relations Committee meeting at noon. March 28th, board meeting 6:15 at the high school library. Meetings adjourned at 6:08.
It's almost a record, Pat.
Yeah, for me, well, I'll make up for it in numbers.